Greetings, viewers all around the globe. This is Son of David, the voice of heaven. Today, I will be treating on the trending topic, on the trending issue that is going on online concerning Reverend Kesiena and Ebuka songs. You know, this has been a matter, and I kept mute. I never responded to the issue because I was being meticulous. I was being careful and sedulous about it. I wanted to be sure of God's take. I wanted to be sure of God's opinion about the matter, not men's opinion, and not what your heart tells you, the deceitfulness of the mind, or how you might see things superficially. I didn't want to be shallow about the matter, so I decided to wait upon the Lord concerning this matter so that there will be clarity when I speak. First of all, I will start by saying, just like my previous video, the song I did, that the sword of Uriah is fighting them. Yeah. The Bible said in Ecclesiastes that the fathers ate the soured grape, and the teeth of the children are set on the edge. The Bible said that David killed Uriah, and by the mouth of prophet Nathan, God said the sword of Uriah will not depart from your house. Just like I once told these people that the judgment will be upon them and upon their children. Just like how God judged the house of Ahab, the children were not the one that sinned, but it affected them. Just the same way, David's children were not the one that sinned, but it affected them. Yes. So the Bible said that at a point when this sword descended, this sword that was hanging in the air, this judgment that tarried long in the firmament, when it began to exploit and manifest among the sons and daughters of David, abomination became a nice and a righteous thing in the sight of his children. At this point, they thought they knew what they were doing. And those who were giving their opinion about the atrocity and the calamity the children of David were committing thought they were judging right. But it was far beyond what they all thought. For they didn't know that it was the sword of Uriah that caused a certain to lust after the sister and committed abomination sexually with that very damsel. And as soon as that purpose was fulfilled, the lust died. He thought he was in love with the sister. He thought he was being affectionate. But all of a sudden, the feeling died. It was what? Deteriorated. It was dilapidated that very moment. It was pacified and placated. Why? The essence, the purpose, why that feeling, that infatuation was ignited within him was fulfilled. It was fulfilled in abusing the sister to David's pain, to David's shame, to David's reproach. That feeling died. Then that same sword, in other words, the spirit moved, the avenger moved and entered Absalom. And Absalom conspired and killed that very brother. Men were watching movie. They thought it was men functioning, but they didn't know that it was a spirit at work in them. And when Absalom succeeded killing his brother, he fled. At a point, the heart of David returned to Absalom. There, Joab had to subtly and strategically bring Absalom back to the palace by incensing a woman that is prudent and skillful against David. And when Absalom came, he was asked not to see the king. But at a point, that same spirit again returned and stirred him to begin to campaign against his father. And he cajoled the people and won their hearts towards him. Child of God, where was David when Absalom sat at the gate and was turning the people to himself? Were there not people seeing that thing going on? Why did the report not go to David on time until he was done and organized a war, a battle against his father. Before the information now came to him, then he fled into the wilderness because there was a spirit behind it. That spirit blindfolded David until Absalom was fulfilled and accomplished in gathering the people, in recruiting soldiers and turning the people against David. The sword of Uriah at work. When the sword is working, it blindfolds those who the sword is against. It affects everyone involved. Men begin to judge from the realm of darkness, from the realm of religious drunkenness, and not understand that something bigger than them is at work. So when this was done, David came to a point after the death of Absalom and said, "Oh, Absalom, my son, I would have died in your instead." Why did he say so? Because he understood that his children died for his sin. Men can be victim of the sins of their fathers. A generation, a time, a season, a strata has traveled back. And what we read, we call history, is playing back in our time, and we do not understand. There are things that a man will not naturally do, that you don't even believe you can do, that you don't even imagine yourself doing. But when a spirit, when a sword is sent you, when you are titillated by a stronger power, you find yourself operating according to the will of that spirit compelling you. And when you are done, then your eyes will be open to behold your iniquity, to behold your folly. The fathers killed a man, and there is division among them. There is war among them. Just like there was division in the house of David. That is not the end of scripture. Let me give you another. Gideon was a good man who the Lord used to execute fair judgment in Israel. But when Gideon died, a man called Ahimelech went to Shechem, his mother's people, and made a conspiracy with them, conspired with them. It was a clinquish and a Kabbalistic conspiracy against the sons of Gideon. And they slew the sons of Gideon so that Ahimelech will now be the ruler, the king. And one fled, one escaped. The Bible said, "Let those who have escaped execute judgment." And I told us here one time that I'm one who have gone through so much, who has gone through criticism, persecution, tribulation, and I escaped like a bird that escaped from the snare of the fowler. And that is why I am here executing judgment. The one who escaped came and placed judgment and said that if you people have done well, if Ahimelech and the people of Shechem have done well by killing the sons of Gideon, rewarding him evil for good, that let there be peace among them. But if they have not done well, he said, fire shall come out from Ahimelech and devour the people of Shechem. And fire will come out from the people of Shechem and devour Ahimelech. These were people who unified, who came together in one mind. They were in mutuality, while slandering and murdering. But when a cause and judgment was executed, division came. Ahimelech and the people of Shechem went into dissension, and they were consumed by the sword of Ahimelech. And a certain woman threw a stone, and Ahimelech died by it. What am I saying? When the man Prophet Joshua was among you people, all of you stoned him. All of you directed the stone of your mouth against him. You used your staff on him. In those days, they used to extol themselves on the altar. They esteemed themselves to fulfill the book of Romans, that you should exhort one another. That was what they were doing to themselves. But the man TB Joshua was stoned, was alienated, was discriminated among. But when TB Joshua died, I came executing judgment. Then before you know it, Damina rose and began to bastardize them. Arome and the rest of them started stoning. And from that time, it has been confusion. It has been bemusement. It has been a razzling and a dazzling state in the church, in the kingdom, even till now. So today, you are judging sufficiently because a new confusion has risen. And they do not understand that this is continuity of what has been. Even this very case, when it pacifies, another will rise again, because the ground is bad. Yes, the foundation where they stand is bad. The Bible said, if the foundation be destroyed, what can the righteous do? So what Ebuka did was based on the foundation. What Reverend Kesiena did was based on the foundation. Yes, it is bad. So both of them blundered. Now let me not touch the superficial matter which many have been touching, but I'm going to touch it according to God's opinion. First of all, let's go back to the very events that generated this quagmire. Ebuka went for a show, or should I say for ministration rather. He went for ministration. And while he was ministering as God's servant, now a certain man came up with an offer. And out of ecstasy, out of elation, out of joy, out of the enthusiasm, he passed out. He was overweight and didn't continue the ministration. So Reverend Kesiena came and attacked him publicly, which was extremely wrong. Was his intention good? Yes. But the mannerism and the strategy by which the correction was done, if I interpret, is condemnation, not correction. Yes. And that is why Ebuka song misunderstood what you did to be criticism coming from the place of pain and hatred, not correction, as you supposed. Because I was in the spirit and I saw Ebuka song speaking Igbo to Reverend Kesiena, and Reverend Kesiena was speaking English. And he said, speak in Igbo language and stop speaking English, because Ebuka didn't want people to understand their communication. And Reverend Kesiena said that everyone knows him to be an Englishman, that he speaks English. So he won't speak Igbo. So he continued speaking English, and Ebuka was not happy. Now, what was the Lord telling me in riddles? That was an allegory. It means Ebuka wanted Kesiena to address him like a brother. He wanted him to call him secretly, not doing that in the public, and address that error. By so doing, it would have been that Ebuka will come out on his own and confess his faults, confess his errors. By so doing, he will not be discredited. But the mannerism by which Reverend Kesiena did what he did, Ebuka was discredited. Yes, he made him look as if he's shallow, he is fragile, and not understanding the place where Ebuka did what he did from. The place he did it from. The Bible says, do to men what you want them to do for you. In other words, what I'm saying is, place yourself in a man's position to understand a man. The same way you want a man to understand you, understand another. The same way you want a man to put himself in your position, also put yourself in people's position. For that is the best way to execute judgment, God taught me. Because many times I will ask him questions. He will tell me, if you are the one, what will you do? So when I check myself, I will not give an answer. Then that answer will not be the answer I was expecting of him. So from that time, I understood that the best way to execute judgment is to put yourself in a man's shoe. Yes. So now, he didn't put himself in Ebuka's shoe. No. He was looking at his own strength and saw Ebuka's weakness and used the weakness against him publicly in the name of correction, not knowing that he was discrediting him. It wasn't just believers that watched that video. Unbelievers watched. His enemies watched. And there are gullible people or weak people who saw that video. That video went a long way to create another impression in the heart of those people towards Ebuka song. And because he was discredited, he was offended. But when this happened, Ebuka was expected to overcome by ignoring him and allow God answer Reverend Kesiena. But he responded arrogantly the way he did. And because of this, he couldn't overcome the temptation. Yes, it was a temptation unto him. But remember what I said, the ground is bad. So I'm teaching the superficial part now. But the ground is bad. So when the ground is bad, men will do things they didn't plan doing. They didn't imagine themselves doing. And when they are done, they now find themselves feeling remorseful. So now, himself reacted and couldn't overcome that trial, that temptation that came. The trial first came to Reverend Kesiena, yes. So he would have overcome by presenting the correction in love, in meekness, treating Ebuka like a brother, not treating him like a stranger. He allowed his anger against that other man of God, who he doesn't see as a man of God, but as a Babylonian criminal in the kingdom, abusing the platform to extend to Ebuka songs, just like a transfer of aggression. He transferred the anger. Ebuka is not the enemy. The other one is the enemy. According to him now, what is stand? Because I don't know the man of God. So I'm speaking based on his sayings, how they see him. So Ebuka was not the enemy. The other was the enemy. So you can't draw out a sword against an enemy and slay your brother alone. No. You would have called him. Ebuka is not too big that you cannot reach out unto him privately. When I say not too big, I'm not saying that it's not big. I mean, in comparison with you, you have access to him. You could have been able to reach out to him and talk to him in love. Make him understand that, look at what this man did that moment. He attacked what you were trying to do. That young man went there with a pure intention to win souls for Jesus. So he's not the enemy. So you who understood what he was trying to do would have called him and make him understand. Then he will come to the public on his own and address that issue. By so doing, he will not be discredited and you will not be discredited. Your good work will be seen in the public, and his humility, when I say humility, his act of receiving the correction from you and projecting it in the public will bring what? Beauty in the body. By so doing, there will be unity. But because the foundation is bad and the orientations are deficient, men spoke rashly and they became harsh. They were rash with words and they became harsh with words. And because of that, the other one who is fragile, who is weak, could not stand the hot rebuke, and he was broken. And because he was broken, he reacted the way he shouldn't react. And Paul said, if your liberty will cause your weak brothers to offend, then deny yourself of that liberty. What am I saying? If that mannerism of rebuke which you did will give birth to this kind of Babylon that we are seeing today, wisdom would have told you to do it in a better way. So I'm not against you rebuking or correcting, no. But the mannerism by which you did it is what I'm addressing. Because what Ebuka did there is not that cyclopean or brobdinangia enough for you to give him that kind of rebuke, for it was harsh. Now let's look at the Bible, Galatians chapter 6, starting from 1. Brethren, if a man be overtaken in a fault, ye which are spiritual, just like you profess that he's not rooted. So in other words, you are the strong one. You are the more spiritual person, according to your teaching. So he's had the God advise us now through the mouth of Paul to do this correction. He said, ye which are spiritual, restore such an one. What Ebuka needed was restoration. He needed to be brought back to track. But look at the mannerism. Restore such an one in the spirit of meekness, considering thyself, lest thou also be tempted. Meaning, you can also be in the same position. So the fact you are strong in that aspect does not mean Ebuka will be strong in that aspect. There are areas you have weakness that Ebuka don't have weakness. Yes, you can't be strong everywhere. That is why in Revelation, Jesus says, strengthen ye the things that are ready to die, for I have not found that work perfect. So we all are going through process. So there is a weakness in you. If you start seeing the other person's weakness and project it, then your own weakness will be projected, just like it is happening here now. But I'm not doing it with hate. I'm doing the Lord's work. What he has sent me to do, to set things in order, to strengthen it, and to put clarity in the atmosphere, so that the wise will hear and understand what is playing out. Considering thyself. Are you seeing it now? That is why I said the best way to execute judgment is to put yourself in a man's position. You didn't put yourself in his position. You didn't want to understand him. You only understood the truth there, what happened there, what the other person was trying to do. But you didn't understand what your brother did or what happened to him there. So you bastardized him publicly. And because he misunderstood you because of how you came. So because he misunderstood you, he reacted also. But there is a sword in the palace. Now if you read further verse 2, bear ye one another's burden, and so fulfill the law of Christ. You would have carried his burden, but you didn't bear his burden. Paul said, bear the infirmity of the weak. Ye that are strong, bear the infirmity of the weak. So we don't just attack the weak because they are weak. No, everybody can't be strong. So we should understand that these people are weak. they will strengthen them. In Isaiah, it says, strengthen ye the feeble hands. You didn't strengthen him. No, you attacked him. But there are other issues that cause for that kind of hot rebuke, which you dished out, but you never addressed it. And this is where hypocrisy comes in. This is where politics comes in. This is where nepotism comes in. This is where favoritism comes in. Yes. Now, your spiritual father, Apostle Aaron, son, criticized the man, Prophet T.B. Joshua, murdered him, slandered him, accused him publicly. This is an abomination. Did you come out publicly to rebuke him? No, you didn't. Did you address this issue? No, you didn't. You kept mute. But it's a light thing for you to slander a man who didn't do something as chronic, grievous, provoking, and outrageous like that which your spiritual father did. And if you didn't rebuke him, what is the purpose? Two things are involved. It's either you believe him, that makes you a slanderer too, a murderer, a hypocrite. So if you will be removing the soil from Ebuka's eyes, then there is a beam in your eyes. If you don't believe him, and you know that what he said is a lie, and you didn't say anything, the meaning you respect the person of man. Because he's your spiritual father, you cannot correct him. It is a shame and it is an ignominy. Peter was the chiefest of the apostles, but Paul rebuked him openly because what he did was grievous. One thing the church don't understand is spirits. They cling on letters and they don't go for spirits. There are too many scriptures in the Bible that contradict if you look at it figuratively. But when you get to understand them from the spirits, based on time and season and context, you will understand they are working hand to hand. They are not fighting against themselves. Men will come and quote, open rebuke is better than secret love. Better is the wound of a friend than the kiss of an enemy. But what now happens to this very scripture I just read? That brethren, if any be overtaken in a fault, ye that are spiritual, branked, strong, restore such an one in the spirit of meekness. So you see, they are fighting. So that is to tell you that when a matter rises, you that is spiritual, that is led by the spirit, you will allow the spirit to teach you how to go about that particular matter. Yes, you don't catch fish with one strategy. There are different strategies to catch fishes. So the case of Ebuka did not call for that mannerism, no, because his intention was pure. He was overwhelmed by joy, and because of that he was carried away and didn't understand the devices of the crafty there. But you who God opened his eyes to know, you would have done it with the spirit of simplicity, meekness, love and charity, calling him and telling him. Then he will not come to the public and readdress. By so doing, both of you will be glorified, and God will receive the ultimate glory. But you attacked him, so by so doing, you looked wiser in the eyes of the people, then himself inferior. He felt bad. Many of you exaggerate and begin to elaborate on the respect sons and daughters should accord to the fathers. And you forgot that the Bible said, fathers, do not provoke your children to anger. You provoked him to anger and he reacted to it. But today, his own is amplified. Everyone is raising stones and casting it on him like they were about doing to the woman caught in the act of adultery. But Jesus did not condemn her. Many of you are not judged, you are condemners. Jesus is not a condemner. The Bible calls him the righteous judge, not a condemner. But many of you condemn because you are biased in your judgment. You rebuke one and leave the other unrebuked. Now you might ask me, okay, what about you? Have you not watched my video? There is no man I don't rebuke. Every of you know how I love the man Prophet T.B. Joshua. Yet, all the errors I saw in synagogue, I rebuked and I corrected it. And because of that, most of his followers, his followers who came following my sermons, many of them withdrew. Many of them hated me. Many of them criticized me. But when I started speaking good of him, defending him, advocating him, they loved me. But when I fought the errors, they hated me. What am I saying? I'm a respecter of no man. I'm not a biased person. What I teach, I exemplify. So if I'm rebuking you for rebuking one and leaving the other on rebuke, it is because myself has rebuked all that I found guilty of a thing. And not I that rebuked them, but God rebuked them through me. For I'm a mouthpiece. I speak, I transmit the things God has put in my mouth. For he said to Jeremiah, whatsoever I shall put in your mouth, that you will say. And that is why I don't come here to speak my opinion. I wait until I hear God. Then I speak as God's servant without looking at faces. So you have not done well by addressing him like a stranger when he's a brother and not a stranger. And Ebuka has not done well by reacting the way he reacted. And that is why in the spirit realm, I saw his television removed. I saw him, he placed a television on the wall, and men were watching. And all of a sudden, a hierarchy commanded him to remove it. It was night for him, and he removed it. And I saw another placing a bigger television, like a bigger plasma on the wall. What was God telling me? It means the hour of his revealing has been fulfilled. Because of this error, they have muted him in the spirit. They have removed his candle, and another is coming with a bigger ministry to replace that position. That is his punishment. But the Lord did not stop there. The Lord now told me that he's going to also bring him back again. Yes, because of the ground he was standing, that it was the ground. I saw a witness in the spirit advocating for him concerning these things. I just thought that the ground is bad. And that witness was like myself. Let me be precise. So because the ground was bad, he was compelled to do those things. And the Lord, as the head of that field, now said, yes, I understood that the ground was bad. That is why he did what he did. I am going to bring him back to the field. But if he should repeat something like this again, I will remove him completely. So the message is that for a season, you will appear cold. Another season will come, you will be born again. But if you should make this mistake again, you will be removed completely. This is the message from the Lord concerning Ebuka's song. Then as for Reverend Kesiena, you have not treated him like a brother. No. Your intention is good, but the mannerism was bad. And I have showed you also, since you people believe in open rebuke, your spiritual father, Apostle Aromen, did something abominable. What did you do about it? Nothing. That is not the end. Before BBC came to do that rubbish they did against Prophet TB Joshua, he came and fabricated prophecy that is not prophecy. That thing was so obvious. The veracity was clear. Did you rebuke him? No. And I thank my God that before BBC came, before the day they came, I prophesied and I said that they want to project his shame in the script, that men will watch his shame. The Lord revealed it to me and I said it, and the next day they came. Now, why am I saying this now? To defend that ground, that all they did there is not it, that they were all lies and fables. But your apostle came with a negative prophecy, blaspheming the man of God in the name of prophecy, that you will see something will happen, this will happen. This thing is falsehood. You know it. You know it. What did you do about it? So you say there is partiality. That's why I told you people one time here that it is partiality, not Christianity. You people are biased. James said, treat everyone equally. You don't treat the rich highly and treat the poor with disdainment. It is wrong. In other words, you can't say, oh, this one is a father, let's treat him like this. This one is a son, let's treat him like this. It's witchcraft. It's witchcraft in the eyes of God. So you people have not done well. So I come back again. This is the sword of Uriah fighting the church. Mark my word, this case will finish. Another case will rise again, just like cases came before this one. So it is the sword that is turning them against themselves. It was never like this when TB Joshua was around. But when TB Joshua left, they started fighting themselves. The man who you people fought together, now that is not among you people to fight again, you are fighting yourself. Does that not tell you that what happened in the house of David and what happened among Ahimelech and the people of Shechem is what is playing out now? Nathan plays the judgment. The young man who escaped plays the judgment. Just like I have placed the judgment, and it's playing out. Drunkards will not listen. Drunkards will not believe until they are consumed with fire. Before I leave you, let me give you the message the Lord gave me this morning concerning the word. I saw him creating adversity, and he said, I am creating adversity. And I saw myself ministry. Then I understood he's telling me, go and minister based on this which I have created. And that thing which he has created is adversity. What is adversity? Tribulation. Mark my word, a great tribulation is about to savage the world. So when this happens, we understand that it is the sword of Uriah that has been going on. So I'm going to round up here. Let this which you have heard be established in your hearts. Share these videos that they may learn. This is the voice of heaven, Son of David. Wisdom is crying in the streets of YouTube.